Hello everyone, welcome to today's session. Today we are going to see class 12 biology chapter 5 molecular basis of inheritance. In that we are going to see the RNA world. So far we have learned that DNA is the genetic material in almost all living organisms. So there rises an interesting scientific question. If DNA is today's genetic material, then what was the very first genetic material when life began on earth? So scientists they studied this question through the concept of chemical evolution. So based on several experimental findings, they concluded that RNA was the first genetic material. Yes, let's get into the topic. So which was the first genetic material? Once Avery, Hershey and Chase, they proved that DNA is the genetic material. And scientists, they became curious about the origin of genetic material itself. And they asked which molecule appeared first during the origin of life. And what is the answer for that? RNA appeared before DNA. So this conclusion, it comes from studies on chemical evolution. So which explains how life originated from simple molecules on the early earth. Let's see the evidence that RNA came first. So you can able to see here. So evidence, yes. Scientists observed that several of the most fundamental biological processes, it depended heavily on RNA. These included metabolism. So metabolism is the sum of all chemical reactions occurring inside living cells. And next is the translation. So here the translation is the process by which proteins are synthesized. And next is the splicing. So in eukaryotes, genes contain introns. So these introns are removed by a process called RNA splicing. So why is this evidence important? See, if these essential life processes evolve around RNA, then RNA must have existed before DNA, right? So this strongly supports the RNA world hypothesis. So let's see this diagram. So this diagram you can able to see RNA was the first genetic material and the three life processes metabolism, translation and splicing. Yes. So this diagram shows that the earliest life processes revolved around RNA. Since all these three major biological processes it depend on RNA, and scientists concluded that RNA appeared before DNA. So let's move on to the next one. RNA, both genetic material and catalyst. So this is one of the most fascinating concepts in biology. Today, DNA stores information that we know very well, right? And protein, it acts as enzymes. But during the earliest stages of life, RNA performed both functions simultaneously. So the first function, it was genetic material. It was genetic material. So the RNA stored hereditary information like DNA today. RNA carried the instructions needed to produce the future generations. So this RNA, it acted as the genetic material. And the second function was catalyst. So RNA also accelerated biochemical reactions. A catalyst, what is a catalyst? A catalyst speeds up a chemical reaction without being consumed. Usually these catalysts, they are inside living organisms or proteins called enzymes. And scientists discovered that some RNA molecules also function as enzymes. Some RNA molecules, they also function as enzymes. And these catalytic RNA molecules are called as ribosomes. Yes. So what are ribosomes? Say a ribosome is simply an RNA molecule that performs catalytic activity. And this discovery was revolutionary. Why? Because it proved that proteins are not the only biological catalyst. And even today, some biochemical reactions are catalyzed by RNA rather than protein. So this is one of the strongest pieces of evidence supporting the RNA world hypothesis. And why was this a problem? See, since this RNA was acting as both a genetic material as well as a catalyst, it became highly reactive. What happened? It became highly reactive. So these highly reactive molecules are chemically unstable. They are chemically unstable. And then they break down easily. And also they underwent mutations more frequently. So this RNA was not suitable for storing the genetic information over long period. Okay, let's skip to the next. Why DNA evolved from RNA? So now comes the next question. If RNA existed first, why do almost all organisms today use DNA? See, the answer is DNA is much more stable than RNA. Let's see the chemical composition first. Scientists believed that DNA evolved from RNA through several chemical modifications. So these modifications made DNA less reactive. What happened? Because of this chemical modification, what happened? DNA became less reactive. So as a result, what happened? DNA became a much better molecule for storing the genetic information, right? And then it is having a double strand. Yes. So unlike this RNA, DNA has two complementary strands. So each strand serves as a backup copy of the other. So if one strand is getting damaged also, the opposite strand provides the correct sequence. So this greatly reduces the permanent mutation. Next is the DNA repair. So because DNA has complementary base pairing, yes, it has complementary base pairing. We have seen in our previous videos, right? So cells can repair damaged DNA accurately. So what happens is the RNA, usually it has only one strand. So RNA lacks this efficient repair mechanism. That's why DNA repair, yeah, is a very important process. Then let's see some advantages of the DNA. See, this DNA is chemically more stable and then is less reactive. It is double stranded and also they are protected by complementary strands and they are easily repairable and it is ideal for long-term storage. So DNA gradually replaced RNA as the primary genetic material. Let's move on to the next one. So next we are going to see the RNA world big picture. Now let us summarize the entire concept. So here I have given you 4 steps, right? So in one step itself, some more steps are there. So let us take the step 1. You can able to see first RNA appeared, yes, and then the RNA it stored the genetic information. You can see here, and then RNA acted as catalyst. And then what happened? Because of the catalytic activity, RNA became chemically unstable. It became chemically unstable. And also DNA evolved from RNA. DNA evolved from RNA and DNA became the permanent storage molecule is the last one. And then today DNA stores the information while RNA helps express that information during protein synthesis. So these things very important. Just go through, children. So let's have a quick revision. Yes. Let us see in the form of questions. Yeah. Generally, we used to say, read out all these things or I used to discuss with you people. Let's have this in a question format. So which was the first genetic material? RNA. And what is the RNA World Hypothesis? It states that early life depended on RNA before DNA evolved. And what is a ribosome? Ribosome is a catalytic RNA molecule. And name 3 essential processes that evolved around RNA: metabolism, translation, and splicing. And why is RNA unstable? Because it acts as a catalyst and it is a highly reactive. Why did DNA replace RNA? Because DNA is chemically stable, double-stranded and repairable. Chemically stable, yeah, double-stranded and repairable. So we have come to the conclusion part. Don't skip the video, children. Watch the full video. We'll see you in the next video. Thank you.